Well, good morning. I suppose it's fate or coincidence that I'm doing this one today because I wanted to mention something about Fimbulwinter. Now, do I think that this massive blizzard that is crisscrossing the United States is Fimbulwinter? No. No. I think. But I think as a world, we're pretty close. And here's how I'm justifying it. Well, for one thing, as I understand it, Fimbulwinter is preceded by either one of two things. It's either I should say not preceded, but it's caused by one of two things: the assassination or the death of Balder, or it's triggered by a natural or supernatural catastrophe. And for those of you who don't know, Fimbulwinter is basically a winter with no. It's a continuous winter for 3 years. No change of seasons. Period. And during that time, yes, you have chaos and chaos reigns. Society breaks down. You've got people fighting each other. People turning on each other for food and what scant resources there are in this winter. Basically, kin slaying kin, brother versus brother. I think you get the idea. Now you're wondering, well, how can you say that? Because, there's never been a winter that has, lasted 3 years. And that is true. Modern times there hasn't been. I found some passages to suggest that massive volcanic activity, I believe it was in Northern Europe, triggered such a very similar event in 536, I believe it was. So they think that's what brought forth the legend of Fimbulwinter. Now, the reason I bring it up, all of this, is those of you that know who Balder is: god of light and god of beauty. He was beloved, he was popular, he was a peacemaker, he was not a warrior. And he was killed tragically and through, what's the word I'm looking for? Through chaos and trickery. Basically, Loki convinced, I believe it was his brother Hor, to do it with a mistletoe dart. Because that was the one thing that could kill Balder. When Frigg, the reason that came about was Frigg, Odin's wife, had a dream that something was going to happen to Balder, that he was going to be killed. So Odin managed to entreat every living thing and every object and every force in the known world at the time not to harm Balder. Well, for some reason, mistletoe fell through the cracks. So basically, Loki tricked the blind god Hor to, kill Balder. Then we started going into Fimbulwinter. I'm missing a few parts because they tried to get, Balder back from Helheim, and Loki again interfered with that. The price to get him out was everybody had to cry for Balder, to weep for him, to grieve for him. And almost everybody did it except for this one giantess who was secretly Loki in disguise. So, now, fast forward to today, you're wondering, all right, why you bring this all up? Well, I start seeing some signs. And some people could say it's coincidence. Some people could say it's me being a lunatic paranoid maniac, which is entirely possible. But if you read up who and what Balder was to the Norse pantheon and the Norse people, who recently was killed through an assassination that had a lot of the same characteristics. And the first name that came to me was Charlie Kirk. And I know there's a lot of Christians out there, and in general, a lot of people are going to object to me comparing him to a pagan god. No, I agree. I understand. And I know it sounds crazy. But I think I compare him to Balder not out of religion, but more of how they were both regarded. They were both well liked by their people, very popular, generally very, they were peacemakers. They were, generally, a lot of people had good feelings about both Balder and Charlie Kirk. So there's that. Then you're like, all right, what about 3 years of back-to-back winter? Well, this is where some people are going to object to me mentioning something political, especially about the current Trump administration. I think you all remember that there was a bombing run by B-2 bombers against nuclear production facilities in Iran. I think that a nuclear winter is a way to create a back-to-back winter lasting years. And I have seen video documentary about this, saying that a nuclear winter would last 5 years. There would be no sun. There would be, snow all the time. And resources would run out. And I suspect once food and water start running out and you can't access them, you're going to have societal collapse. So, to be honest, say what you want, I think that bombing run did us a favor. Now, whether that stopped it or it just delayed things, I don't know. Now we get into the whole chaos and societal protests and upheaval, not just in the United States, but in Iran, in Europe. So I think we all know that. I mean, we all see the news, we all see snippets online, Like I said, I don't know if we're in it. I think we are on the verge of something very, very close and very bad. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I mean, if you're asking for counsel from me, I would do what you can to prepare. And honestly, with these times being what they are, that's good advice at any time. So, but other than that, I'm really not sure, because can fate be cheated? Can fate be stopped? I don't know. I think Odin tried, and I think he figured out he couldn't he couldn't change fate, because I think that was his end game with everything he did. So, but I'll leave that up to you guys. But whatever you choose to believe in, I would get right. I would prepare, and I would say for those of you living in urban centers that can move, I would move. Get out of the cities if you can, especially if it's in a blue states. And this is I'm saying to my U.S. Viewers, but Europe, if anybody from Europe's watching this, I would consider the same thing. I see what's going on. A lot of parts of Europe are under a lot of social upheaval as well. So, I mean, the question is, can it be stopped? I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm not afraid to say that. Oh, and then it leads me to my other point in this rambling that I'm doing today. For probably about a year, scratching in the back of my mind, I have been seeing an image I've come to learn the name is gunungagap. Those of you who know your Norse mythology know that that is the primordial void nestled between the plane of fire and the plane of frost. Muspelheim and I can never pronounce the plane of frost. But basically, it's nestled between fire and ice, and through it, the first act of creation came out Ymir and Almunia. And I know I'm mispronouncing her name. Now, this is where I'm going to get heretical. And I imagine some people are going to probably want me burned at the stake, stoned, or killed for what I'm about to say. I think gunungagap is, if it's not one of the many faces of God or a manifestation of God, it's a doorway to him. Period. Pure and simple. Everything came from gunungagap, according to the Norse. Sorry, I just hit my tripod here. Okay, so the question is why I've been seeing it. And the only thing I can think of is that it's a harbinger of change and chaos. Well, I know we got the chaos, and I think we are due for change. Now, what that's going to manifest as, I don't know. But like I have said already, something is coming. How long it takes, I don't know. What order the sequence of events are going to be, I don't know. But I am just saying, and I know how this sounds. That makes me sound like a lunatic. And I hope I'm wrong about a lot of what I've just said. But what if I'm right? That's the scarier part. All right, I'm going to let you go. Like I said, this has been kind of ramblings that have been going through my mind for especially the last few weeks, especially with the news going on. I wanted to share. Oh, and I apologize for not having my terminology up to snuff. So hopefully nobody holds that against me. All right, look, stay safe, all of you, and prepare as best you can. Okay? Hopefully the next post I have is something that's less doom and gloom. All right? Oh. When it comes to Fimbulwinter, basically once that's over with and the clouds part, that's when we start moving into Ragnarok. That's the sequence of events. And the next step after Fimbulwinter is the disappearance of the sun and the moon. Oh. So that's how that's supposed to go. And like I said, and the reason I bring up the whole bombing thing with Iran, I wanted to add this in, is because if there's one nation on this planet that not only, I think they would, if they got their hands on nuclear weapons, I think they would use it. And I hate to say it, but their past words and their past actions condemn them. Nobody trusts Iran anymore. Do I believe that we need better energy to help our nations? Absolutely. But, how can you live in fear that somebody out there is going to develop nuclear weapons and be crazy enough to use them? Because when one goes off, everybody's going to start shooting. So, like I said, I hope I'm wrong. And like I said, I think no matter what your belief is or how you feel about that attack, I think humanity was just done a huge favor. So, but like I said, what do I know, right? Just a crazy bearded man. All right, I've been rambling enough. I'm going to let you go. This was stuff I just wanted to get off my chest. All right, thank you. And stay safe, all of you.